Yeah, huh? Well, we'll cut it down. We'll keep it short. We might speed run through a few segments. It happens.
Yeah.
All right, Rich, you're gonna get a big old at today in the group me.
Uh-oh. That's assuming people in the group me know who I am.
All right. Rishi, I didn't at you in the message. Sorry. I was gonna do a clever Rishi,
No worries.
like Rishi, Rishi and Luke, our UFC experts are here.
Give
you all those
consultants.
Yeah, brought in the consultants. Rishi gets stuff straight from the pipeline at UFC now. Just skips mass media straight to the.
Yeah, I was actually
you guys
talking
ready?
to Adesanya. Yeah.
Yeah, just telling him, you really got to cover, man. You got to cover this week. You guys ready to go?
Yep.
All right. Well, welcome back. This is SMC Around the Board, episode 10. We've already got the 10 episodes this year. I'm excited. We got a ton on the card today. Speaking of cards, we have UFC 281 this weekend. There are huge fights. We're going to go over that first. We brought in Luke and Rishi today to, provide that expert analysis on UFC, since Dallas and I are spectators, but not diehards for the sport. So then we're going to go over Thursday night football. As we all know, the lovely Indianapolis Colts did make a coaching change this week, so we're gonna take some takeaways from that. We have NFL buy or sell, which we're just going to go over some teams, which stock are you buying and not. College football was absolute chaos this weekend, so we're going to go over that and how it affects the big picture. The NBA has started, so we're going to go over those encouraging and concerning teams so far through about 12 games, Dallas?
Yeah.
12, and then we're going to pick some college basketball teams. We're just going to pick two teams you think are national title contenders, and we'll go over our World Series takes. Props to Dallas. Dallas is the only one who guessed correctly. Astros in 6. We had a few very close, and me and Rishi are still hurting from Philly, and then we'll do some hot takes. So let's jump right into this UFC 281, guys. You guys take it away. Let's hear what you guys got here.
Well, I think so. If we break it down, let's start with the co-main event. Some are calling it the people's main event.
Banger.
Yeah, Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler. I can give a little background on both real quick. Dustin, last 3 fights, 2 wins against Conor McGregor, lost in the title fight. Michael Chandler, I feel fine calling him the most exciting fighter in the UFC. So tune in for that one if you're going to tune in for any of them. But what do you guys think?
I mean, I'm just looking at it. It looks like an interesting takedown match, I would say. I'm looking at those grappling takedowns. They're both like above. You'd say like a 1 is pretty good for per 15 minutes. That's an average or so. I mean,
that's 1 a fight, sort of.
Okay, 1 a fight, but I think it'll be interesting. Looks like, they look pretty. They look pretty even on this UFC like analytics thing. So I'm gonna be excited. They both have a pretty big knockout rate. So I'd hope one of them gets knocked out. Not Poirier though. Poirier's gonna win.
Yeah, both these fighters have been in some wars. Michael Chandler with Justin Gaethje. I feel like it's gonna be similar to that, but Poirier, I feel like I don't think Chandler's been submitted, but Poirier's got that jiu-jitsu that's really good.
Luke calling his hot take this week. Is that Luke's hot take?
I don't know if it's a hot take. Yeah, but both these guys are insane. They can go. What is it? Is this a 3 round or 5 round?
It's only 3. Feels
Hmm.
like it should be 5, but
It
yeah,
should be
3.
5. They could go 5 all day, but this is a good one. This is a really good fight.
Is your final pick Dustin?
I want Michael Chandler to win, but I think Dustin will get him. I think he's gonna submit him.
For me,
Luke,
it's
Luke, I think that's your hot take this week. Dustin submit.
I think so. This is one where, depending on the juju tomorrow morning, my pick could switch. Like it's a good fight, but I'll take Dustin. I think he'll show up. He's never lost twice in a row. But Michael Chandler, I think the hungry dog runs faster theory will be put to test this weekend because Michael Chandler might be the hungrier dog right now.
I'll say I think Dustin wins by decision. If it's only 3 rounds, I think it's going to be banger 3 rounds, but I don't see a finish happening in that amount of time.
I don't know. I don't watch too much UFC, so you guys are probably better at picking these and understanding what's going to happen. So I think the next one you guys are going to talk about, the co-main, that's Carla Esparza versus Zhang Weili. I think that's how you say that. Is that one interesting to you guys?
You picked the wrong word. You shouldn't have said interesting. Because if you watched Carla's last fight, everyone can agree it was not interesting.
Snoozer.
Yeah, big time. But no, so I mean, it'll be a good fight. Carla was the first ever champion, the inaugural champ of that division. Zhang Weili's been champ. She puts people to sleep in a different way. Let's say that. She knocks the crap out of people.
Yeah, I see her KO to TKO is 50%. So
yeah. If you want to go with anyone, I'm gonna go with Zhang Weili. But I'll let you guys speak your piece.
I 100% agree. I don't really think it will be that close. I think Weili gets it done pretty early. And new.
I kind of hope she gets as far as it gets knocked out now. I kind of want to see that. That'd be pretty sick.
I couldn't find anything for the hot takes. You want to put that down on my hot take that Carla gets knocked out in the first 2 minutes?
Carla gets knocked down.
No, I like it. Listen, if Carla wins, it's probably going to be from wrestling. And Zhang Weili probably knows that. So I don't hate that take from Dallas. Zhang Weili is very strong. Look up on Twitter Zhang Weili Francis Ngannou, and you'll see what I'm talking about. She picked up a 300-pound man.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so what did you guys have as that second fight that you were saying was really, really good?
So if we're talking about the top 3 on the card, then the main event would be next. Is there any other fights you guys wanted to talk about?
Noah Williams, shout out Noah Williams, was telling me the Molly McCann Aaron Blanchfield fight is going to be pretty good too.
Oh, we got some storylines with that. I mean, so Molly McCann, if you ever heard of Patty Pimblett, they're potentially the 2 biggest things happening in UK. It's a little egregious to say that, but whatever. We're just gonna say they're the 2 biggest things happening in UK mixed martial arts. And Molly McCann has been also knocking the crap out of people. But Aaron Blanchfield's her hardest test on this win streak. So we'll see how that goes. Tune in for that one.
What's her win streak?
I know she's knocked her last 2 opponents out. Let's look it up though. Feel free to get your takes off while I look it up.
She has a 46% knockout rate. Holy. But she's not submitted one person yet. Wow, that's crazy.
So I mean, yeah, she's gotten put on her back a little bit, grappled, and hasn't necessarily figured that out against some of her opponents. But on a 2-fight knockout streak, here's the interesting storyline. Those two knockouts, she was fighting with Patty Pimblett on the same card. Now they're not. She's in
He's on the.
MSG.
One was in England, right?
Yep, yeah, big home crowd. So I don't know. Anyone? Molly's the big underdog. Anyone gonna take the big underdog to get the knockout?
She'll be a part of my parlay this week. Molly, because I like Patty Pimblett. He's just a beast. I got Molly McCann. I'm gonna go knockout in the. I think it's gonna be it's 3 rounds for them, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go second round. Yeah, I spelled her name right. All right, knocks out Blanchfield. All right, and then I don't know what else is big. You guys kind of got to tell me what's big on these cards because I see the ranking, so I'm always like college football style. Like, oh, I think that looks like a big matchup, so that's probably supposed to be good. But I mean, you guys said Carla Esparza, who's the champion, is very boring to watch.
Listen, there's a lot of media members and fans talking down on Carla Esparza. She's the champion for a reason. She's a great fighter. She's beaten great fighters. So as members of the YouTube media, I don't wanna hate on her, but let's just say I'm watching more Zhang Weili fights than I am Carla Esparza fights.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. So
actually-
what's your second biggest fight then, Rishi? Because we have, I think Poirier's third, right? Poirier versus Chandler. It's probably third. We all know what one is, the main card fight, but what's two for you guys?
Luke, you got anything?
I mean, you got some other vets on here with Frankie Edgar. Dominic Reyes is on there too. Dan Hooker. You got some pretty big name guys rounding it out. So those could be interesting fights. Some are kind of past their prime, but still some dangerous guys.
If you want to talk about, I'd say the biggest storyline left to talk about in this outside of the main event is Israel Adesanya's team. City Kickboxing has 4 fighters on this card. And so one of them, Dan Hooker, he's fighting what people are calling the best unranked guy right now. Brad Riddell, he's on a losing skid, but he's fighting a really solid fighter in Hanato Moicano. And then you got the 4th teammate, Carlos Ulberg, opening up the card. So if you're 7 p.m. sitting around Saturday, nothing to do, that Carlos Ulberg fight will be great. He knocks people out. So, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest stories. And you know what? Tack this onto my hot take record. I'm taking all 4 City Kickboxing fighters to win.
Oof.
4 City Kick.
That's nice.
They're called City Kickboxing.
Yes. I feel like should we get to the elephant in the room, the main event?
Yeah, let's just get it. I mean, this is all the fight that everybody's looking at all week. So,
Luke, you want to preview it?
Yeah, so Israel Adesanya, he's been the champ for a while. I don't know how many defenses he has, but a lot. He is
he's 23-1. He's 23-1-0.
Yeah,
I mean,
his one loss wasn't even at middleweight. But the guy he's fighting has knocked him out. But it wasn't in the UFC. This was a while ago in kickboxing, but Alex Pereira is legit.
I mean, it's a KO to technical KO rate of 83% to 68%. So somebody's getting knocked out in this fight. Am I right?
I mean, they're 2 very good strikers.
I'll say this. So Adesanya's past few fights, we've heard a lot of backlash because it's been a lot of him moving backwards. When you think of Floyd, the criticism of Floyd was not a ton of action in those fights because he's a very good defensive fighter. You're seeing a little bit of that with Adesanya. I'd go as far to say his last few opponents haven't really brought the fight to him once they realize they might be outmatched on the feet. And I think Alex Pereira isn't scared of Israel Adesanya. And so I think he'll bring him the fight. So I think whether this ends in a knockout or whether this goes to a decision, I think we see a good fight. And my official pick will be Israel Adesanya. Anyone want to take Pereira? He's a beast.
I do.
He's 6-1 though. So like
dude.
Is he like that new to UFC? But he's ranked 4th, which is crazy.
The way he knocked out Sean Strickland was just like effortless. And he is huge. He is huge.
His nickname translates to like stone hands, and he literally you would think he has stones in his hands. That's how he hits people.
Dude, I got to see this fight now. Like this is just got to be like probably some of the greatest sports television this weekend. I feel like.
I mean, hey, you can watch Michigan, Nebraska, or you could watch some real action.
You can watch some dudes and some women knocking each other out. And that's what I'm talking about here. I mean, so what my question is, what would it take for Adesanya to lose? I think that's the biggest question here is what does Pereira bring to the table that could truly beat Adesanya for that title?
I mean,
he just knocks him out.
Yeah.
He's done it before.
The obvious answer is in kickboxing, you got these big puffy gloves. He knocked Adesanya out with those gloves on. In MMA, they're like a quarter of the amount of cushion in there. And so they call them the small gloves. And so obviously Pereira could knock him out. Here's the other thing. Pereira, so they weigh in at 185 pounds this morning. By tomorrow night, Pereira is going to weigh probably around 220 something pounds.
He's huge.
And so when
how is he going to gain 40 pounds back? And
it's just all water.
Yeah. It's a crazy transformation, but I wouldn't rule out Alex Pereira doing some grappling if he feels like he's not winning on the feet, or if he feels like he wants to just present a different threat, because he's considerably bigger than some of Izzy's past opponents. I could see him trying to grapple with him. So yeah, but the obvious answer is knockout.
So 4 or 5 rounds here, Rishi. 4 or 5.
Are you saying pick how many rounds the fight goes?
How many rounds do you think this fight's gonna go?
5-round classic. Potential fight of the year if it can come together.
An agreement on that.
I mean, now I guess we gotta feel the room. So Rishi, you're on Adesanya. Luke is on Pereira. Dallas, who you on here?
Adesanya.
This is tough. Just for like the culture, I want to see Adesanya get knocked out. So like I'm rocking Pereira with Luke. Like I just think it would make this fight so amazing for the culture. I mean, just an absolute. We saw it. Who got knocked out this year by the kick in like the last 20 seconds? Oh my gosh. Who?
Kamaru Usman.
Usman. I think it could be one of those fights.
So he'll dominate the whole time and then just win.
So it's interesting. That's how some people would say their second kickboxing match went. They would say Adesanya was winning through 3 rounds, and then Pereira caught him with that left hook and knocked him into a ventilator. So you may be predicting something that's got a chance of happening.
I mean, I don't know. I'm a very newbie to UFC. Just an enjoyer. Like to watch. But I think I'm gonna write down these takes here for who wins this fight, and we're gonna review it next week. We'll have to get Luke back on too, for just maybe if Luke wants to just do this segment. But we need to see who was right, and might have to recap it. It might be big. It might be bigger than Thursday Night Football. It might be bigger than Thursday Night Football.
If it means anything, I'm usually wrong. So whoever's fading me is winning right now.
So everybody fade Rishi. Everyone just fade
Yeah.
Rishi's takes here.
Yep.
Rishi, you're supposed to know this. You're a UFC insider. Come on.
Sometimes when you watch too much, then you overcomplicate it. The rookies are good at picking the fights. Trust me.
All right. So you two are pretty you guys are pretty tied up today, but you guys got any other hot takes? You gonna drop out there? Rishi, you always got like a 15-page list of hot takes you got going. So
no, see, so this isn't exactly a hot take, but I'll give it to you guys for foreshadowing college football. I'm taking Texas over TCU. I've been saying it for a few weeks. This is the spot where TCU loses. And I guess if you want a hot take, I don't know, UNC makes the college football playoff. Can they still make the playoff?
yeah, no,
I mean,
maybe.
chaos.
Got a lot of
you
stuff to
come out
happen.
there and win the ACC.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Let me look at the standings here. Let me look at the standings. Give me a second, gentlemen. I just want to see the top 25 here. All right.
Gotta make sure
CFP.
Notre Dame keep going in.
North Carolina's at 8-1. I mean, win out and you got yourself a little deal. Said this morning to somebody. It's a one-loss CFP this year, I think. I don't think that we're gonna see any 2-loss teams. Even if the tables are ran, it would require Michigan and Ohio State for me to lose 2 games and Georgia lose 2 games to make it a 2-loss college football playoff.
What about LSU?
I can't stand LSU, and I don't think they're going to win the SEC
They
championship.
run
So
the table in the SEC.
they don't run the table. I think they're going to get. I want to say they still play Ole Miss this season, and Ole Miss has just been so sneaky good. Like, no, they play Texas A&M, they play
They
UAB.
lost them.
No, they play Arkansas, Texas A&M, and UAB. I mean, Texas A&M's always good for a thriller on the last week of college football. So, I don't know here. This is tough. I like LSU, but I'm not completely sold. And I just think it's going to be hard to springboard a few of those teams in the Pac-12.
Luke, any hot takes?
Yeah, Luke, where's this TCU to the CFP hot take? I've been waiting for it.
It's gonna happen. It's not a hot take.
Rishi's saying they're going to lose to Texas this week, so I don't know what you're talking about.
They've come this far. They're not losing.
Yes, and then we've got to check back in on some of these takes next week because Luke's got Pereira, you've got TCU, I've got Texas, I've got Adesanya. So we'll have to revisit
Something's got to give.
Luke and Rishi got anything else? Any darts on the card this week?
I was trying to give you something that we can look at for next week, but I got the MMA one.
Well, you guys might have to tune in for the end of the episode because I have some absolutely steaming hot takes brewing right now that are I could run this could be my biggest parlay ever. I might go 5 event parlay here and try and break the system. I mean, you gotta keep it spicy. But any other takeaways from anything this week? Any Colts? We're gonna get into the Colts right after you guys leave. But anything to say? Rishi's probably no comment due to employment.
Why'd they only make Jeff the interim head coach on Saturdays? That was weird.
Who knows?
On that note.
I'll have there'll be a rant. So if anyone wants to see it, clip it, lock it up. We'll get on to it. But great to have you gentlemen on. Thank you for those UFC takes and go get them, Horned Frogs.
Yes, sir. There we go.
Good to have you guys on. I'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
All right. See you guys.
All righty. So it's just down to you and me, Dallas. Some
Yep.
good old bonding time. So we've now got on past the UFC portion. You know, great to talk about it. You know, we're always trying to include other sports we usually don't get to. We do have a Thursday night football game to recap. Not much to take away from it. Panthers win 25-15 on the Falcons. Marcus Mariota went 19 for 30, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. PJ Walker went 10 for 16, 108 yards. And no touchdowns, no interceptions. My measuring tape on the NFC South is still very jacked up. I think this is a division anyone can win at this point. And I'm really leaning towards the Bucks winning it. But once again, Thursday night football providing the greatest entertainment. Dallas, true?
Yeah, hey, the rain provided a little bit of fun, at least. If it was just a regular game, it would have been as good. But PJ Walker is expected to start next week for the Panthers, so he'll still be in line for the job. Falcons, I know that they're still in the race, man. They almost wish they weren't in the race because I think it's almost that time to see what you have in Desmond Ridder. The way Mariota looked last night, some of his plays were hilarious.
Mind-boggling.
Yes.
Mind-boggling. Yeah.
But
we sat next to each other the whole time. We saw it all.
Other than that, there's nothing from this game. I've said it from the beginning. Tampa Bay will win the division, and it doesn't even matter what the record is at the end. They're going to win the division. The other 3 teams are so bad. Yeah.
All righty. Well, on to the Indianapolis news. I titled this section, drum roll, please, the Colts conundrum. So we're gonna give you the little timeline of what's happened over the past few weeks. So 2 weeks ago, Marcus Brady, the offensive coordinator of the Indianapolis Colts, was fired. Monday morning, we got news that Frank Reich was officially fired by the Indianapolis Colts. Then soon after Tuesday, we got a press conference Monday night, we got a press conference from Jim Irsay saying Jeff Saturday would be named the interim head coach for the Indianapolis Colts, a Colts legend, 14-year NFL vet. The Colts center won a Super Bowl, went to 2 with the team. I think the biggest thing we want to talk about is our takeaways on the Colts situation. Dallas, I'd like for you to open up here because I think I have a lot to say.
Yeah, you have a lot more to say than me because I don't really have much to say other than I just want to see what energy Jeff Saturday brings to the team, see if he can fire up the O-line to actually play up to the potential that they can be. Because we know what they can be, and that's one of the top O-line units in the league. Obviously, they're playing super bad this year, but I'd like to see what Jeff can get done. Other than that, I really don't know. I think you could take it because I don't have much takes on the Colts. I think Tennessee will win the division. We'll see if the Colts have more energy this week. If they can get going. I don't know what he'll bring to the offensive side. New OC last week, correct?
New play caller this week.
Yeah, new play caller this week. We'll see what he does. I mean, I'm ready to see if we can change up the offense, force Ellinger to be a little more free and showcase his talents because I don't think he's been free. I think he's been very tight first 2 weeks he's been in. And JT hopefully will play. No Deion Jackson this week. Philip Lindsay cut from the practice squad. So if JT don't play, it's going to be Zach Moss and Jordan Wilkins this week. Yeah, man, I don't have much hope for the Colts the rest of the year.
Well, that makes 2 of us. So who's your future coach choice, though? I just thought about this. Probably should add this in.
Oh, gosh. Future coaching choice. I have no idea.
Like Reggie Wayne. I think Reggie Wayne gets an interview personally, but I don't know if they're going to hire him. There's no you don't have a favorite offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator that, needs to be freed from their home.
I mean, people that have been talked about the last few years, Kellen Moore, Eric Bieniemy, they could be on the more offensive minded of the head coaching side. Which honestly, if we need to change, it's probably to revamp our offense and make it better. Because I think our defense can be solid regardless. So if we get an offensive-minded head coach, I think that might help things a little bit.
Oh, I like that. So my takeaways on the Colts situation, I have never been the biggest proponent of Frank Reich. He's a great coach. Don't get me wrong. I think the situation's a little weird here. I think there's a lot of faith in the building still about what the team can be and what the team has the potential to be. I'm just a little concerned in the direction. The direction under Ballard and Irsay has been a little, let's say this, we're a horse without someone whipping us at this point. I mean, we have no direction. We're just a wild colt running around in the pastures, doing whatever, Sometimes we like to run. Sometimes we like to just sit down, It's just been an interesting team this season. I'm really tired of the Band-Aid quarterbacks. I think I'm ready to see, hopefully with a new head coach next season. And, if they keep Saturday in the building, I'd be happy at it, but I'd hope he'd be pushing to, we'd draft a quarterback. We're in the position right now that we would have the 4th overall pick. So, there could be a quarterback on the board depending on who's drafting a quarterback, who sees that they need a new quarterback. Teams ahead of us right now, the Lions, Panthers are actually now tied with us, I think, because we're both at 3 wins.
The tie might come into play, so they're probably ahead of us because we tied 1 game.
Yeah. Raiders, if those 3 teams are looking for quarterbacks, I think we might be just a little out of luck, and we might have to take, another year with Sam Ehlinger, or maybe take a flyer on a quarterback in like 2nd or 3rd round trade. I really don't know what's here. We do need someone to be the franchise of the team. We're still not drafting franchises. We're still kind of, just lollygagging our way around, hoping, things change. Personally, I think this is Ballard's. I think Ballard is sitting on the thinnest of ice currently. He really does need to do something. They do need to make a decision. They need to truly hone in on what they think this team's identity is and stick to it, because we haven't stuck to an identity since Andrew Luck retired that August morning or August night, I believe. So I'm excited-ish. My future coaching choice, I really like Kellen Moore. Just haven't seen enough out of the offense for me to really be like, let's give him all the money. But I like D'Amico Ryans. He's been one of my coaching decisions out of basically every team. D'Amico should be at the top of everyone's list right now. We see what young coach has been able to do in Minnesota. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And I hope the Colts have learned here. We can't keep being just average. We really do need to try to get better, or, if we're not going to get better and we see no plan to get better, just tank and don't just get picks. So,
yeah. And to add on to your point about the draft picks, I just looked up here. We are actually at the 14th overall selection of the NFL draft because of the tie.
The trading is so messed up.
There's 5 teams at 3 and 6. We are 3, 5, and 1. So we're going to be behind them in the draft order. They will be ahead of us right now. Obviously, Houston 1, 6, and 1 will be the top overall pick in the draft. Then Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, and Detroit are both 2 and 6. And then there's a million teams with 3 wins. Carolina obviously just took an L last night, so it's not
Jacksonville, Denver,
New Orleans, Arizona, Jacksonville, Chicago, Green Bay, Rams, Denver, and Cleveland, all with 3 wins, along with us right now. So it's hard to tell what the draft order will end up like. It's not going to be this bunched up at the end, I wouldn't think. But, I mean, I know we're not talking about them right now, but Philadelphia does own New Orleans' selection in the first round. So Philadelphia would have the 6th overall pick in the draft coming up this year, along with being, 8-0 right now. That's absolutely incredible. The draft could move up, could move down. Me personally, I think it'll probably stay around 5 to 8 range. I don't see the Saints being too good. But yeah, this draft order can shake up. Very interesting to see what teams will take a QB and what teams would not. And I see maybe a few that would ahead of us right now, but other than that, I'm not too sure. We know Houston will. Raiders are an interesting team, maybe a quarterback, maybe not. Detroit, maybe QB, maybe not. But these other teams, Pittsburgh, I think they stick with Kenny. Arizona's got Kyler, Jacksonville, Trevor. Chicago's got Fields. So these teams have QBs that are ahead of us right now. So I don't see why we can't end in the top 5 range and take a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think the biggest thing will be what the Raiders choose to do with Derek Carr's last year was his contract. So if they truly do choose to part from him, they'll probably draft. But we're going to go on to the next segment, kind of follows into these teams that have been good, bad, somewhere in between. We're doing buy or sell. So, you know how the stock market works. You want to buy, you want to buy before they're good, buy when they're good, and then sell when they're bad. So we're just going to go through, pick which team stocks you think you're buying or selling. The first one has been the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to open this up. I am selling the Green Bay Packers this season. I have no belief in 2 people. I think the biggest is Aaron Rodgers currently is proving to me that, maybe it's his time has gone over the hill. I don't know if I'm ready for, for me to call them out. But, the Vikings are improving. The Bears are looking better. Detroit's always making, steps in the right direction. And, the Packers are just falling behind the group there. So, I'm selling. I hope this team rebuilds, finds some way to rebuild. I think now we're going to be looking at a lot of these older quarterbacks to foreshadow into some of this other segment. We're looking at some of these older quarterbacks saying, is their time up? Do we take some swings on some young guys? Do we draft next year? Do we trade up in the draft? I think it's an interesting topic, and I'm just genuinely out on the Packers after a few of their recent games.
Yeah, I'm also selling the Packers, and just one point to make here. I think this ties in with some of the other quarterbacks in the league. Aaron Rodgers' contract situation. He's been talking about weapons, and they don't have enough weapons. Well, when your quarterback takes a bunch of money, and this is a great job on the Chiefs. They gave Mahomes some money, and he still has weapons. But it's very highly not going to have weapons if you take that much money and nobody else that's no money left over for your skill positions who want money. So me personally, if I was a star quarterback in this league, I know Lamar is asking for a lot right now, and the Bengals will sign Joe Burrow to massive deal, maybe highest paid quarterback in the league next year. So if I was a star QB, I'd be wanting to take less money and build around me so I'd have a better chance of winning, instead of just taking all the money and having fewer guys there at the skill positions for me. Because you got to have enough money to spread around to have a good enough team in this league. And I think that's going to be a problem in a few years when quarterbacks are taking all this money and skill positions want some money and the teams don't have enough to pay.
I think that's fair. Right now, the EPA per game from the Packers, not very good. They did take a loss last week to the Detroit Lions. It's just been very underwhelming from, the 2-time MVP quarterback Aaron Rodgers himself. But we're going to move on to the next team, another team who has a very old quarterback, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dallas, are you buying, selling? This one I maybe even say waiting on, like we're just waiting to see what happens.
I mean, I would sell, but the division is so bad. So I'm just going to buy and say they're going to make the postseason and host a playoff game, which is crazy to see. But my friend Daniel Lynn showed me this yesterday. They had a little video on there that said Tampa Bay could finish 8-9 when the division hosts a playoff game. And in comes Daniel Jones. In comes these quarterbacks that are not proven in the playoffs. And Tom Brady is just in the playoffs. Tom Brady is going to crank it up in the playoffs, I think, and play better than he has been. So Tampa Bay is a buy for me making the playoffs.
I'm selling Tampa Bay. I've been really out on the Tampa Bay team. So there is a metric stat called EPA per play. You're always looking for a positive EPA per play. Currently, the Buccaneers have a negative 2.1 EPA per play. On rush EPA per play, they're at negative 0.45. On early downs, on early rush downs, they're negative 0.40. Late rush, they're a negative 0.92. They're just not very good in any metricized stat. Other than passing. So, I think it's going to be tough for them in the postseason. You're going to face a lot of very staunch, sound defenses. You're going to have to run against them. And, Carolina did a really good job blocking up the run last night. Falcons still have a really good defensive line. The Saints are decent. I mean, they're going to put 7 men in the box on you. So, I really am looking. If I was buying into them, I'd really like to see a run game that's, humming and is humming along. And, they just haven't been this season. They've been dead last in rush EPA per play all season, and they're continuing to stay there. So, there's other teams that I think are better, and I'm more interested in seeing. So I'm selling. But onto a team that I think is going to be this is going to be an interesting conversation between you and me. The Chicago Bears. I'm buying the Chicago Bears currently. I like what I've seen the past 2 weeks out of Justin Fields. This offensive scheme under Luke Getsy has, truly expanded into that, part of we hadn't seen in a while, which is, rush offense with Justin Fields. They have 60% rush efficiency, which is higher than is the number one team. And it's just been a really interesting team to see. They've constructed a team in such a way that, they're still decent, but, they have $135 million in cap year next year, 9 to 10 picks in the draft. They could move up, they could move down, they could get a guy. They're in an interesting position. And, if I'm looking at them saying, this is a team I could see over the long run, I'm probably buying.
I was gonna say, if it's for this year and this year only, I'll sell for this year. But future is most certainly a buy. Really like what Justin Fields is becoming into. Too much hate on the man too early in his career. So now he's really showing people what he can do, and this is the Justin Fields you want to see. I think he can even throw the ball more and be more efficient with throwing the ball next year. I think he's going to be, me personally, this is probably a hot take, but Lamar Jackson won MVP. I think Justin Fields can and will be better than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson maybe barely ahead on the rushing side over Justin Fields, and I think Justin Fields can and will improve and be a better passer than Lamar Jackson. So I think he will overtake Lamar at some stage. So in the future, I'm buying the Bears for sure with that cap and draft capital to upgrade. I know they lost 2 key pieces on the defense, but that's what that cap, draft capital, and everything's going to do for them.
Yeah. On to another team, another perennial powerhouse, and another ex-NFC North quarterback, Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. I am unfortunately selling the Rams. I have officially deemed this a failed project. This push all their chips to the center of the table. Currently, they are 3-6, I believe. Let me check. Yes, 3-5. The San Francisco 49ers are 4-4. The Seattle Seahawks are 6-3. And in the division, the Rams are 1-2. I'm just not impressed. Once again, going back to the running, I think, running is such an important, setup stage for, the fact that you can pass in the NFL, and, you can't run or you can't pass if you can't run, and you can't run if you can't pass, or you can't run if you can't pass. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. I think it's a team. They're all very old. There's not a lot of mainstays that look really young. In that game, both the Bucs and the Rams were negative in expected points added. The Rams were at negative 0.16 while the Bucs were at negative 0.21. And, that game just came down to, sloppy mistakes, sloppy errors, and, the Rams not being able to put it away. So I'm selling. I'm totally out on this team. I think, I think it's time to move some of your pieces and, go get some draft picks and, come at this again.
This is a easy sell for me. they pushed all the chips last year for the Super Bowl, and I hate to say it, they won the Super Bowl. I hate it. I hate that they won the Super Bowl. I don't like the Rams. I hate that they won. But they won the Super Bowl. They pushed all the chips there. Now we're forward the chips over to this year. The guys are just getting old. Andrew Whitworth, even though he was old, still an amazing left tackle in this league, retires. Big key loss there. The running game is just not there this year without Whitworth. The O-line's playing worse. On the receiving side, you lose Robert Woods, man. And I know they lost Robert Woods halfway through last year, but Robert Woods was a great receiver for them in their scheme. They had OBJ, obviously, for the playoff run, torn ACL. They lose him. You sign Allen Robinson. Stafford really doesn't look his way a two-lot. It's Cooper Kupp or bust. And on the defensive side, they're, once again, older on the defensive side as well. I think this team's just a little old, and they need to revamp, try to get some picks, try to get some young guys, and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I think, you and I feel the same way. A very interesting team, a team that got a win last weekend in the division. The New York Football Jets are currently 6-3, I believe. Yes, 6-3, and they are 2-1 in the division, while Buffalo has fallen to 0-2 into the division. So, I think this is interesting. I'm really excited for what they have. I'm still selling. I think they are good. I don't see the long term. I'm still very up in arms about the quarterback situation. I'd really like to see them, hone in on a solidified great starter. Zach Wilson's been good. Zach Wilson's had great games. Zach Wilson's health has not been great. So I'm still a little touch and go on that. But, the rest of the team's been good. Great roster management. They got a great defense. Excited to see what they can do, but I'm kind of with you on the future buy. They'd be a future buy for me, but right now I still have to sell.
For me, the Jets are a buy. They are a buy. The quarterback situation is a little rough, but if they can keep the offense doing what Zach Wilson does well, they run the offense very well. Obviously, losing Breece Hall this year hurts. Michael Carter still is in there. The trade for James Robinson, running back situation isn't bad. Garrett Wilson's starting to develop chemistry with Zach Wilson over the last few weeks. The Elijah Moore situation is a little – if that situation isn't happening, I think they clear heads and Elijah Moore plays very well. And also, right now, you can argue that they have the top cornerback duo in the league. You can argue that. I know you're up there with the Ravens. Marlon Humphrey's been unbelievable this year. Marcus Peters. Eagles, Darius Slay and James Bradbury, unbelievable. They are probably number one on my list right now this year. But you have to put Sauce and DJ Reed up there in your top three. And if you don't, you're just lying to yourselves because the stats prove it. They are amazing coverage corners this year. I really like what the Jets did. Number one draft last year, easily. The draft picks was unbelievable last year for the Jets. And that's why I think they are buy for the rest of this year and the rest of the future.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the same boat, just hesitant on the quarterback position because how much responsibility falls down to him. I'm just maybe I'm going to put myself as waiting. Maybe I'm waiting to see what happens in the next few weeks. And then, if I'm ready to, I'll come back and I'll buy. Another team, another really young team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm buying because I'm buying absolutely at the lowest price here I feel like you've gotten. This team's good. They started out really good to the year, have struggled the past few weeks, a couple tough losses. But I think they're probably one of the best constructed teams for the future in the AFC South. They don't have a lot of eggs in one person's basket other than Trevor Lawrence. They've made good picks, and they still have an early pick for next year. If that defense gets humming along like they were at the beginning of the season, offense gets better. They can really hone down on everything, add a few pieces. I'm all in on Jacksonville.
For me, this is like the Bears. I'm gonna just for this year, the record's it's tough to overstep. So sell the rest of this year, try to get a good draft pick and buy for the future. I really like what they did at the trade deadline. Obviously, we talked about it. Calvin Ridley coming over. I really like what he can provide next year. And then, like you said, the defense, let them develop the rest of this year, maybe add a piece or two, and you're looking up for the future in Jacksonville.
Yes, you are. Another young quarterback and another young team struggling out in the NFC West, the Arizona Cardinals. I'm selling the Cardinals. Unfortunately, I just have not seen enough on paper to, truly feel that on paper and on film that, they're just a great team. It just seems like there's a like a drop off of talent between their offense and their defense. They have a great offense, D-Hop, Marquise Brown, if all those pieces are together, healthy, the run game's a little bit better. Eno Benjamin's had to take over so much of the load this year. He's been great. They're still struggling. I really think it unfortunately comes back to the GM and Cliff Kingsbury at this point. I think maybe one or the two, one or both maybe need to go next season to truly, start from a fresh slate and, use Kyler to his full ability. You've signed him back to an expensive contract. So you either trade him or you suck it up and you play with him. So defense has been unresounding for me too. I feel like they give up a lot every year on defense and, they never really get a return on it. And I'm just not in on the Cardinals.
Yeah, you said what I was going to say, and my sell is not the Cardinals. It's Cliff Kingsbury. I think it's time for him to move on. If you look at their offense, and if you sit down and watch Cardinals just a little bit, when they play up tempo, the other team can't guard them. They play up tempo. They run the RPO plays very well. The D-Hop on slants or fades, anything like that, with Rondale Moore coming across the middle with Hollywood, that'd be unstoppable, even more so. But when they play with pace, they're very good on the offensive side. It's when they slow down, they really struggle. Delay of game penalties are killing them this year. They've had so many of those. I don't know the stats for delay of game penalties, but they have to be close to the top of the league. And if they're not, that'd be pretty shocking. They really struggle with slow tempo. And I'd understand that the defense needs a break, but if your defense is giving up points anyway, you'd be wanting to score points faster, in my opinion, just to keep up. And that's why I think they need to move on from Cliff Kingsbury and find somebody that knows what Kyler can do, and that's up-paced tempo offense.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, looking at the Cardinals, they need to be taking two plays out of someone's playbook. Right now, the Colts just parted with Frank Reich, no matter how much people do not enjoy. But, I think they're in the same situation. There's been a lot of disappointment around the team. They're not producing the same results. Cliff has done it on a very big scale, missing the playoffs a few years in a row. Very clearly having some riffs with Kyler Murray about, how much he's studying the game and how much he's doing this. I think maybe Cliff or the GM, might have to go, in order to get this team back on track in such a competitive NFC West. On to another team that's out on the West Coast, the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to take a play out of Dallas's playbook. I am not selling the team. I'm buying the rest of the team. I'm selling Joe Lombardi as the offensive coordinator. Joe Lombardi has undoubtedly handcuffed this team to a style of offense which has looked boring, slow-paced. The only reason they're still decent is because Austin Eckler and Justin Herbert get to make so many plays out of structure. They can play out of structure so well. But Joe Lombardi truly either needs to revitalize what he's doing, or, I think Brandon Staley needs to look at him and say, our defense isn't as good as, it's been over the past few years. We can't really stand on that great defense, suffocating great defense, too highs, zone looks that, Staley's predicated himself on. You got to focus on the offense. And Joe Lombardi's been the one who's really holding that offense back.
Yeah, Chargers are a very interesting one. I still lean towards bye if they can fix things, because they can still be really deadly in the offensive side. Keenan being hurt most of the year with the hamstring is very tough. Hamstring injuries are very tough. I know there's memes going around that he can't play in 4 weeks, and Brian Robinson, who gets shot, can come back. But I'd almost say that getting shot and having that healing process will be quicker than a hamstring. And I think if you ask doctors that, they'd probably say around the same, depending on everything, obviously. But hamstrings can be very tricky. You go out there too early, you re-injure it again, and you're really done. So I think it's almost that time where Keenan's getting a little bit older. You shut him down for the whole year. Mike Williams is going to be out for a few more weeks, most likely. Joshua Palmer looked good last week in the wide receiver 1 role. They got Gerald Everett at tight end. The offense can still be solid. Obviously, the offensive coordinator is not making it too well. Some of these plays that they're running, they hike it to Herbert, and he just turns to the right and just looks to the right a little bit, and then he throws a slant over there. That's the play, and it's not much development action, pretty easy to guard. And then on the defensive side, I'm very disappointed in J.C. Jackson. They spent out money on J.C. Jackson, and he has not performed well.
He got hurt again.
Yeah, exactly. He gets hurt. It's very tough so far, but I still don't think they're that far off from turning it around and making a push for the playoffs, and that's why I'm leaning toward bye.
All righty, so we're on to another AFC team, a team that took the Kansas City Chiefs to a tough game this weekend, the Tennessee Titans. Just to, make this a little quicker, I guess, not go into so much detail. The offense for the Tennessee Titans is a sell, other than Derrick Henry, and I'm buying that defense because if that defense can stay on the field for 40 minutes, take you into overtime, and you lose because, your defense can't play 40 plus minutes a game, that's amazing. They're just like a lot of other teams, they're just a star franchise quarterback and a few offensive pieces away from being a great team. So I'm buying. Dallas, where are you at with them?
I'm buying as well. Once Tannehill comes back, the passing game opens up more than what Malik Willis has done so far. Traylon Burks will be back this week from the toe injury. That'll open up some weapons. I think he's going to be a very good player in this league for him. So I'm buying Tennessee.
Righty. I'm gonna cut a few of these out. I like some of these teams, but I'm feel like we've talked about a lot of football, and we still got a little bit to go. We're gonna finish up with 2. We have the Las Vegas Raiders. They're in a very, very interesting situation here, Dallas. Where do you have them?
Sell. And it's so tough if they move on from Carr, because realistically, the reason they get Devontae Adams is because of Derek Carr. And if they cut ties with Derek Carr, how's that going to feel with Devontae? And is that going to cause some problems there? So it's very tough and interesting what the Raiders are going to do. So obviously, it's a sell the rest of the year, but I'm very interested in the offseason for the Raiders and if they stick with Carr or not, because I think it could cause some tension either way.
I'm buying. I understand the tension, but I think, if you do bring in a young quarterback and they choose to do that, where you're at right now, you keep tanking. You tell Devontae, hey, we're going to get you a young guy. He's going to be great. He's going to be the new face of the franchise. You're going to get 1 million targets. You're going to do all this. You're going to do all that. You're going to get a fully healthy, this new quarterback's going to get a fully healthy Darren Waller, fully healthy Devontae Adams, fully healthy Hunter Renfrow, Matt Collins, who's been developing to what he is. This defense is still really good. You trade for Brock Yassin, maybe draft a few defensive pieces. I'm buying. I like this team. I'm not buying Josh McDaniels. I honestly don't think he might make it past his first year, with just how poor they've been. So I'm interested in that. And then on to Dallas's penultimate here. The Cincinnati Bengals. I think this is very easy. I think that they are right now, in my mind, the 5th best team in the AFC this season, just from like a compromisation and like a play scale. I think they're the 5th best team. I only really see like Buffalo, Baltimore, Miami when Tua plays, Kansas City, those are the only 4 teams I see above them, but I still think, they have that ability that they showed last year, and they're a great team, and I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, obvious answer for me here is it's a bye. And obviously I'm all over Bengals Twitter and everything like that. There is a bunch of fans that's saying this year's a throwaway. We're already out of it. Well, let me talk to those Bengals fans real quick. Go back 1 year ago. We're at the bye week, the same exact bye week as we had this year in week 10. We were 5-4 heading into the bye week. Guess where we are this year? 5-4 heading into the bye week. Out of the bye week, we come out, win 5 games, lose 2 last year. I know the tougher games this year, but tougher games is a better test for the playoffs. And I think if we can get into the playoffs right there, then that'll set us up well for the playoffs. And the season is definitely not over. 5-4 heading into the bye, exactly where we were last year. So not even close to being over.
Yeah, I feel that's fair. So we've gone through all the teams. That's our kind of our NFL segment this week. I thought we'd just, do something a little quick. On to some college football. We're just going to recap it. LSU did beat Alabama, dropping them to 2 losses. Georgia had a stunning victory over Tennessee. Notre Dame also had a stunning victory over Clemson. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Dallas. TCU beat Texas Tech. USC got a close W against Cal, and K-State got a close W against Texas. It's really not changed much. Like I said earlier in the show, I think one loss team is going to probably be the best team in college football this year. They're probably all going to make the playoffs if they're one loss. I'm still waiting to buy in on that Pac-12 hype. Still want to see something, but until then, we'll just keep updating you. Maybe we're going to start giving some more closer CFP takes, where we think teams are going to finish. And as we get closer, we're down to the last 3 weeks of the regular season. So we got tons of interesting games and tons of interesting battles left to see. You got anything for college football, Dallas?
Well, I just want to – Texas beat Kansas State last week. I just want to –
I was wrong. Sorry. That's totally on me.
You're fine. But for college football – this week, I think TCU Texas is a very interesting game. TCU loses, that could probably push them out of the college football playoffs, so they need to win. Then my big game of the week this week, surprisingly, is not Alabama Ole Miss. But you go down here, there's a big game in the Pac-12, which we just talked about there. The number 6 ranked Oregon right now is playing at home this week. They are right on the cusp of that college football playoff. If they can keep winning and win the Pac-12, go undefeated, but they're coming in to, I believe, is the nation's leading passer, second leading passer in the league, in Michael Penix and Washington. Washington can really push the ball and they sling it. Oregon could be in some trouble this week, and that's a game I'm looking to watch for sure.
Yeah, it could be an interesting game. There's some sneaky, that could be a sneaky good game. I like that, Dallas. I like that. So we've covered a little bit of the NBA this year. We've given you a little bit of a teaser. We're going to go through some teams. We are through 12 games. I'm not, unfortunately, most teams I'm close to 12 games. I might be a game or 2 off. But we're just going to say, are they encouraging this season? Or are they concerning? And you're going to tell me. Opening up the 4-7. Are they still 4-7, Dallas? Let me just.
Yes, they are.
The 4-7 Golden State Warriors. I am personally going with concerned. I have not seen very good play from their bench yet this season. And no matter how much I think Curry and Clay can do, I want to see a lot of those guys develop. And I'm a little nervous, but I think they'll still be good. But I'm probably leaning towards the concerned here.
So the only reason I am not concerned about the Golden State Warriors start is because, one, the bench is young and they are developing and they will develop throughout the year. Jordan Poole hasn't played up to standard so far this year. Will be a 6th man of the year candidate by the end of the year. He will play good. And just looking at the West, nothing really jumps out to me and says they can't just overtake the teams in front of them, because I look at the 4 teams in front of them, maybe even 5 that the Warriors are better than right now, and they're just not playing like it. But once we get deeper into the year, that they'll be okay, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same, but I'm a little concerned. You always want to see your bench perform, and they hold these guys to high standards. So I hope they perform. If not, maybe are you looking at a trade? Maybe go grab yourself a bench piece. Go maybe I don't know who's left in free agency because I don't keep up with the NBA as much as others, but go grab yourself a little piece and get yourself on a championship run.
The only thing I have one thing to add for the Warriors here. The only thing that I'd say they need to add if they do at the deadline or free agents piece, which I think they need to be all in on Jay Crowder and right now, because Suns have opened up talks on Jay Crowder. I think you need to be all in on the defensive side of the ball. If you look at their differential, they're actually only a -3 right now. I mean, they're scoring at a great pace, 117, but they're giving up 120 a game. Only 3-point differential. If you can get a guy like Jay Crowder, that's going to cut that differential down, and you're going to start winning some more games.
Yeah, I think that's who I saw this morning was probably the biggest one. Another team that was a finals favorite on the show, the Brooklyn Nets. I am completely concerned. We do know what is currently going on with Kyrie and the ongoing issue with him in the NBA. We are not going to disclose it. Do not want to bring up any tensions. Do not want to give any opinions on that. I'm just trying to stay neutral and biased on it. We're looking at it from the basketball aspect. Their team has struggled so far, being 5-7. Haven't beaten the Pacers. Have beat them. I mean, I'm not saying the Pacers are bad. I'm not saying the Pacers are amazing, but the Pacers have been decent. I'm just. I think, they might be like the Los Angeles Rams. They tried to push all these things to the center of the table and do something, and it's kind of blown up in their face.
Yes, I am also concerned with the Nets. Reports did come out yesterday that they are not hiring Ime Udoka to be their next coach. So Ime will still technically be with the Celtics, even though he's suspended for this year. You bring Ben Simmons healthy this year. You really haven't played him too much to his strengths from what I've seen this year, or he's just not comfortable, or he's just not over the yips that he still has from the playoffs 2 years ago in time. And obviously Kyrie's situation, not going to get into that too much. And there's obviously some talks of, is it time to trade KD and Kyrie and start over? And me personally, I look back, I think they should have never got rid of those pieces for KD and Kyrie and Harden. And I think their team was fine a few years ago where they had it. I think they messed up by that. But yeah, I think it's concerning for the Nets right now.
Yes, and then on to a team in the West, the Timberwolves. I am encouraged. I think, they have a young core. They've got a great team, between D'Lo, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns. Who else has been playing? Someone on their team's been playing out of their mind. Was it
Jalen
Vanderbilt?
McDaniels.
Yeah, McDaniels. Vanderbilt's on there too still, right?
He's on Utah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I think they're an encouraging team. I think, it's going to take a little bit, take a few games, for Cat and Rudy to really mesh together. But once they do, I think, I'd be afraid to play that team in a playoffs game, So I'm encouraged. Where are you at, Dallas?
Yeah, so it's tough to lean towards one way or the other, but I'm going to lean towards encouraged. Stats, the worst efficient offensive team will be the next team we talk about, the Los Angeles Lakers. They are the worst offensive efficiency team at 103.9. And in fact, the Timberwolves starting lineup offensive efficiency is only a 99. So I think it's that time where you start changing up the lineup. Maybe you don't play Gobert and Cat at the same time. One's going to have to come off the bench because they're really hurting your offensive value right now in the starting lineup. So I think it could be time to try and fix the rotation, move things around to see if that'll work, because 5-7, you're still in the hunt. The differential is only a -1.8. So you're right there. I think if you can bump up the offensive lineup just a little bit and switch it around, because when Gobert's on the floor, they're one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. So I think if you just switch the lineup around a little bit, they'll be all right. So they are encouraging.
Alrighty, and you harped on the Los Angeles Lakers, the worst efficiency team. I'm gonna let you start this one out.
Yeah, so obviously it's concerning. The Los Angeles Lakers right now are 2-9. They are the worst efficient offensive team in the NBA. And to start the year, they were actually worst in offense, but second in defense. But these last 5 games, they've actually pushed back to, I believe, either 15th or 18th in defensive efficiency. So you're at the bottom half of the league in both categories. That is definitely very concerning for the Lakers. The age is definitely an issue on this team. LeBron cannot carry the load anymore in year 20. I'm sorry, he can't do it all by himself. Anthony Davis will get hurt every now and then. He's always going to stay hurt. The one and only positive is Russell Westbrook being moved to the bench. He's been playing very well on the bench. I love that move, but I don't know who they can trade and move to figure this out to really turn things around. So it's very concerning. And my take is that it's very early in the season, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel I'm in the same position as you. I hate going back to this Los Angeles Rams idea, but I think that's the philosophy of super teams. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's definitely not worked for them. So I'm concerned. But skipping on to another team, a hometown team for us, the Indianapolis Pacers. I am encouraged by the Indianapolis Pacers, Dallas. This team has been very good this season so far. Very interesting team to watch. I thought, we weren't going to be, competing with a lot of those big boys, but, I watched them, outside of a few silly mistakes in that Nuggets game, they're a good team. I like Benedict Mathurin. I think Miles Turner looks really good. Just fingers crossed he can stay healthy. Halliburton's been great. We got some good bench pieces. I think a playing game is possible. I kind of hope they do go out and they go get a draft pick because, a big draft pick here could really help bolster this team in another way. They're a good team. I'm excited and I'm encouraged.
Yeah, I'm very encouraged what I've seen out of this Pacers core. Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton has been unbelievable to start the year. I thought he'd be a 20 and 10 type of guy, and he's right there. 21 points and 9.9 assists a game. He's leading your team in his 3rd NBA season, which is incredible. Whenever we can, we have to lock this guy up for the future. And Benedict Mathurin is a part of that future as well. Him coming off the bench and giving you 30 against the Nuggets. He's already had 2 30-point games off the bench as a rookie, which is incredible. The one thing I'd say, you mentioned Miles Turner, and I will mention Miles Turner here, is I hope he continues to play well because that'll bolster up his trade value. I really think we need to deal him before the deadline, not because I don't like Miles. I do like Miles. I think he's walking in the off season, which would stink if the Pacers can't get anything for him. We need to know for a fact we can get something for him. And I believe if he continues playing well this year, we can get a decent enough piece for him. Isaiah Jackson's been playing well off the bench. I think we need another center as well and trade Miles. And Goga cannot play. I'm sorry. I'm not a Goga guy. I think we need another big in there. Jalen Smith's been playing okay. But, yeah, very encouraging start to what I see for the future for the Pacers.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Currently, though, we have a really good team here, Dallas. The Utah Jazz, they are leading the Western Conference at 10-3. I mean, who would have thought after trading Donovan Mitchell that you would be still one of the best teams? I'm very encouraged by this team. Lauri Markkanen and Kelly Olynyk. I don't know where you found this Kelly Olynyk and Lauri Markkanen, but good Lord, they're playing amazing. Jared Vanderbilt's playing great. Rudy Gay contributing, Clarkson. I mean, I talked about this team at the beginning of the year. They have the potential to be there. Now, long term, I am a little concerned. I'm not completely sold on the long term, but right now, if you told me that this Jazz team could play this way the whole season, I'd be saying that they are going to be a scary team. Scary team.
So, incredible start by the Utah Jazz. And of course, I got to buy because they an incredible start, but they will not be making any noise in the postseason whatsoever. It's an incredible start. Don't get me wrong, but I think when it comes down to that, your top player, and there's no offense to Lauri Markkanen, but when your number one option is Lauri Markkanen in the playoffs, I think that's gonna hurt. He is averaging 23 and 9 this year. Very good. Jordan Clarkson, obviously off the bench, has been an incredible bench guy for a few years for them. Colin Sexton, people thought he'd take the next step and be that starting guard. He really hasn't shown that too much this year, only averaging 13 a game. Mike Conley he's up there in age. He doesn't have that many years left. The front court is looking okay for the future. I think they need maybe one more piece. If you have Markkanen, Vanderbilt, and Walker Kessler up there for the future.
Ochai Agbaji.
I think they're missing that middle range guy, small forward, shooting guard type. Can Ochai Agbaji come in there? I believe he can. He's only played in 6 games, only averaging 11 minutes a game. So maybe they give him more PT to see if he can develop into that guy. But if you can get an established guy there in around year 5 or 6, I don't know who that would be, but if you can get a guy like that, I think the Jazz could be pretty solid for the next few years.
Oh, I agree. On to another team that's killing the West, actually in second place now at 9-3, the Portland Trail Blazers. Dallas, I know this is your team. You love them. You love them.
I cannot believe that the Trailblazers, first, the Utah Jazz are in first in the West, and the second place team in the West is the Portland Trailblazers. And you may ask, hey, Damian Lillard carrying? That is not true. They are 9-3. Damian Lillard has missed 5 games this year. So in those 5 games, they've been playing very well without Dame. Their leading point totaler right now is obviously Dame, but he's not qualified. So qualified games is Anthony Simons, baby. Anthony Simons averaging 22 a game with Jeremy Grant playing very well, averaging 19 a game. Obviously, Nurkic is a solid big. The defensive side of the ball is where I'm really looking at this team and really liking what they bring. Justice Winslow is in there. Nasir Little is a great defender. And a guy playing unbelievable this year is Josh Hart, who is actually, I'll have to look at the stats in a little bit, but one of the top leaders in minutes played this year is Josh Hart. He's at
36.3.
36 minutes a game. He's not shooting the ball too much this year, but that's because he's doing everything else. He's a guard, mind you, averaging 9 rebounds a game. 9 points, 9 rebounds, and close to 5 assists a game with a steal. He's been playing unbelievable basketball this year. I really like what the Portland Trailblazers are doing, and I gotta mention him. I know you're not the biggest fan of him. Shaedon Sharpe is looking very solid as a rookie in the NBA.
Yeah, I don't know how much more I have to say other than what you've already said. Just a good team. They're playing good, and I'm excited to see with a fully healthy Dame what this team can do. I'd probably put them in the 8 to 10 range right now. I don't know if I'm keeping them as high as where they are, just with the sheer star power that the West owns. But an exciting team, and you never know what could happen. So I think we're both on the encouraging. This team. The New York Knicks, they're at 5-6 right now, in the ninth place. Where are you at with the Knicks, Dallas? Do you just want to say middle for this one? Because I just want to say middle at this point.
Concerned, just a little concerned. It's the Knicks. I mean, they play well one game, they don't play well the next, and it's that simple. As That's why they're 5-6 right now. Randall's averaging 20 and 9. Brunson coming over, averaging 19 points, 7 assists. He's bringing what you thought he would most likely as a starting guard. Really, but after Randall, Brunson, and actually RJ Barrett, after a slow start, is coming into a decent year, averaging 19. After those guys, you really don't have many guys playing too many minutes a game.
Manuel quickly
and averaging that much. Like, you get down to these guys, they're playing around 17 to 20 minutes a game, giving you 7 points a night. And that's just not going to cut it. These guys got to, in the NBA, if you really want to compete, your top guys got to average 25 to 28 a game. And that's just not what they have. Randall averaging 20. He's got to step it up and even decide to even shoot a little bit more than he has. I mean, let's see if I can find his shooting percentage on the year. He's shooting 45% this year, which is not awful. It's not great, but he's got to up that. I think he's got to up field goal attempts. Last year, he's almost, in the year before when he played very good basketball, averaging 24 a game. This was 2 years ago. Averaged 24 a game when the Knicks made the playoffs and got beat by the Hawks in the first round. 24 a game, averaging 19 shot attempts a game. This is where you need him at this year. He's only averaging 15 shot attempts a game. That's 4 less and 4 less points. I mean, that translates a little bit. So I think you need him to shoot the ball just a little bit more. And I think these bench guys just need a few more minutes because I think Reddish and Quickly can provide some scoring if they play more.
All righty. And then do you want to go over the 76ers or, I'm on board with you in New York. 76ers, I'm kind of in the middle. I don't know where they're going to be. And I don't know if to be concerned yet or to be, encouraged.
You cannot be concerned about the Sixers right now. Embiid has missed, I believe, 4 games. Let me see this. Yep, 4 games. So those 4 games, you're probably going to take an L without Embiid. If Embiid's in there, you're probably going to win. He's averaging 28 a game. Very good. Tyrese Maxey is taking another step forward this year. Unbelievable, averaging 23 a game. And then you got people that called James Harden washed, and that is just not true. 22, 7, and 10 for James Harden is very good. He's also missed 3 games. So him and Embiid, load management may be a thing, but I think they'll be okay. They'll be fine.
All righty. And then we're on past some other basketball to the amateur version. We're on to college basketball. I was hoping we'd be all together here to pick some teams, but we're going to pick 2 teams you think are national title contenders. Dallas, I'm going to open the floor to you here.
Man, college basketball obviously just started. Most teams have played 1 game. There's a big, if you're loving college basketball, there's actually a big Armed Forces Classic tonight on the Air Force Craft, Michigan State and Gonzaga. Should be a good one. It's a really good test for Michigan State to see where they're at early in the year, see if they're a team that can compete with a top team like Gonzaga. If you're picking teams that will probably be Final Four ready, you got to go back to North Carolina. They returned pretty much everybody except Brady Manick from last year as national championship runner-up. Obviously, Duke and Gonzaga are runners there. I know we're Kentucky guys. I would love what they saw first game. I loved what I saw out of Kentucky the first game, and they missed 3 key guys there. There's some other teams in here that can make some runs. That's very interesting teams. But if I have to pick 2 to be in the national championship right now, we know it's not going to be the 2 best teams in the national championship. So if I'm looking around right now, let me look at if I can look at the rankings real quick and see if I can come up with 2 teams.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with mine. As a Kentucky fan, I'm excited for what I've seen, but I'm also, taking the measuring tape and looking at other teams in the nation. And as Dallas said, there's some teams that retained a lot, but there's some teams that are young and untested and untried in battle. So, this Kentucky team retains quite a bit of players. Oscar Tshiebwe, Severe Wheeler, picking up Antonio Reeves, Jacob Toppin. For me, this is just probably a really good team. Looks like a really solid team, barring any crazy injuries. And we've seen the improvement between a lot of these players that were fringe players last year, and I'm excited. I think Damian Collins is going to be a huge piece of this team, but I'm looking at the freshmen to make an impact, and I'm excited. So I got Kentucky, and then Dallas. You can pick your first team.
So I'm looking right now, and I don't like to go with these top teams, but man, I got to pick Houston to make another run. I very much like Houston Cougars, man. They have pretty much returned most of their guys from last year, and Jamal Shedd played a very key role in the tournament for them. And you're getting back potentially a National Player of the Year guard in Marcus Sasser, who poured in 21 on opening night. Their bigs they're interesting. They're bigs that can jump. They're bigs that can sky for boards. They're not bigs that, dominate in the paint, but I think that's a very good strength of Houston, that they can stretch the floor, move around, and they have these guards that really just attack and move the ball very well. I really like this Houston Cougars team.
Yeah, I think I'm really looking at 7. We're looking at a new, almost kind of a new era for Duke basketball. We've seen Coach K has unfortunately parted from the not franchise, but from the dynasty. And now we're on a John Shire. From what I've seen early in the season, I'm really excited for this team. Mark Mitchell looking like just an absolutely great team player. There's still a lot of like ability to, I think, get better for this team. And I'm excited for them. I think ACC is going to be tough. You have to face North Carolina no matter what happens. But I'm interested if this Duke team, gets humming, gets along. I'm looking at their schedule here. They got some big games. I think we're all circling Kansas November 15th. I'm excited to see that game. That's going to be a really good game. I think that's going to really open up the measuring tape for me. And they don't have not a lot of ranked matchups, but February they'll really get into it. February and March they play North Carolina twice this year, so that's another good game. I really do want them to play more ranked teams, which just not going to happen. But I'm excited to see what they can do. If they put it together, it'll be great. If not, they go back to drawing board. I think an interesting team that I hate giving highlight to because I can't stand them with a burning passion and their fans. I'm looking at IU, they're interesting. I think the measuring tape I need to really see this stretch in November and December. I want to see them play North Carolina first off. I think no matter what happens, they're going to lose. I think the fact that Trace Jackson Davis is not going to be able to compete at center with what's his name? Oh my goodness. Armando Bacot. I think it's going to be a tough matchup at the guards. Then they do face number 17 Arizona and number 5 Kansas in 7 days. So the 10th and the 17th. Those games for me are another tape measure game. See what they have, see what they can put together. And if they look good, I wouldn't be opposed to saying they might be the best team. Michigan is going to give them problems, just with the pure dynamic of Jett Howard. He looks great this season, but I'm excited. Illinois is going to be another team, so I think it's going to be a really interesting season. And, I think IU gets some games to bounce their way. We could be talking about them as a, scary team to look at in the playoffs.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and throw my flyer team, not my second team. So I have Houston first off. I'm going to skip my second team and go to some sleepers on the outside edge. And as much as we love Big Ten basketball, Big Ten's always ends up finding a way to choke in the tournament. So when you look at some of these other teams, Virginia's returning some guys. They have some up and downs, but man, when they click and they're good, they are unbelievable. Villanova as well. Jay Wright is gone. New coach is in there. Can they play well? And then you look into the top 10 range, and I really like this Creighton team. I really like what Creighton can bring to the table. But as my pick for number 2, I'm going to go with Texas. I really like what Texas has this year. Dylan DeSue, Dylan Mitchell, Timmy Allen, Tyrese Hunter, Marcus Carr. Very good. This last game, they had 6 guys in double figures. That is what you want come March time. You want guys that can score the ball. You want multiple guys to score the ball. Marcus Carr, I believe 5th-year guy, went to Minnesota, transferred over to Texas last year. He's unbelievable guard. This is a guy you want come March. Tyrese Hunter, very, very good sophomore guard from Iowa State last year, transfers over. You get Dylan Mitchell in as a freshman. I really like what Texas has there. And you look at their upcoming games, and you can really tell if Texas is going to be good pretty quick. I mean, they play Gonzaga in 5 days. Wednesday the 16th, they play Gonzaga. They play December 1st against number 9 Creighton, and then the next game is number 23 Illinois. So they play these ranked teams, and then you get into the Big 12. TCU is ranked. Texas Tech is ranked. Baylor is top 5 in the nation. They play Tennessee this year. They play Kansas. They're battle tested. They have a really, really tough schedule. I mean, they play Baylor and Kansas twice, TCU as well, Texas Tech. I'm very interested to see what Texas can bring out of this season. If they win half those, they are going to be a very interesting team come March.
Yeah. So you kind of talked about that flyer section. I'm looking at IU according to Pro Basketball or Sports Reference Basketball. They're tied for 13th in strength of schedule right now. So I think those will be some interesting games for them. I'm looking at teams that historically have had some success. I'm looking at Tennessee. I hate the Volunteers, Dallas. You know that. I mean, you just know that. I just can't stand them playing them every year. But Zakai Ziegler back on the team. Hurts. I wanted to see him go away. Josiah Jordan James, Julian Phillips. I mean, they have a really good team. They're built to the last year, and I'm interested to see them. And Tyreek Key, great player too. So let's see if they can put it together. Vescovi back for another year. They're a deep team, and if I'm taking a flyer, I might be taking it on them.
Yeah.
All righty. You got anyone else to highlight here? IUPUI love IUPUI basketball here.
I was trying to look up some deep sleepers for March Madness. There are a few teams in there that could be interesting. The favorite to win it all right now is Houston, surprisingly. They are the favorite to win it all. And I can't really think of any sleepers right now. But before we go into talk about the World Series, and just for a second, I just want to talk about women's college basketball for just 1 minute here. If those of you that don't watch, women's college basketball is good basketball. Sorry if you don't agree. It's my opinion. I really like women's college basketball. Tonight, we got a big game. South Carolina at Maryland, number 1 at number 17. I'm going to be tuning in for that one. I think it's going to be a very good game. I want to see if Maryland can stop Aaliyah Boston in the paint, and if they look like they're going to be as good as they were last year. I know they lost some key pieces. They lost Ashley Owusu, but they still have Diamond Miller. They're bringing in some freshmen. I really like Maryland in the Big Ten. IU looked very good against Vermont. I was skeptic about IU to start the year because of what they lost last year, but the freshman coming in, Yarden Garzon from Israel, looked very good. Sydney Parrish, obviously hometown girl coming back from Oregon. Another freshman, Sarah Scalia, looked very decent in her playing time as well. So I think IU is going to be good. And you can't really look too much depth into sleepers for women's college basketball. It's going to be more UConn's, South Carolina's, NC State's. But I have two teams that I really like, and that is first off, they're actually ranked right now number 24, Princeton. I really like what Princeton can bring. They can score the ball. They play Villanova next, and then they have a game up at 3 Texas. I think they can give Texas a run. They have 4 girls right now. Obviously, they've only played 1 game, but 4 girls in double figures, 1 averaging 9 right there. So their starting lineup is very good. And then another deep sleeper I have is actually at HBCU, and it's Jackson State. Jackson State actually came into the tournament last year as a 14 seed, and they actually beat number 3 LSU last year. Many people thought we're going to go deep into the tournament. I really like what Jacksonville State can bring, and they return everybody back. So I think they can make even more noise in March this coming year.
All righty. We always love giving some new light onto some new sports here. So on to the hot takes. Of course, we have a few. We had one submitted early. TCU will go into Austin and beat Texas, according to Matthew. Rishi had all 4 city kickboxing fighters win in UFC 281, Texas over TCU and UNC to make the college football playoff. Luke had Poirier submits Chandler and TCU beats Texas. Dallas, what you got? I know you already have Carla gets KO'd in the first 2 minutes, but you want to add anything onto that?
I'll try to find something, and I'm really tempted to go with this game tonight. And I'm really tempted to pick Michigan State over Gonzaga, and I think that's where I'm going to lean towards. I think Michigan State will surprise people this year. Many people think Tom Izzo doesn't have the talent. I think he gets the best out of his players. I think they come in. It's early on in the season. The top teams aren't going to be at their best, so I think it's here that they beat Gonzaga tonight.
All righty, interesting. I got, of course, the mega parlay, Dallas. I told you guys every week. I like to just make up parlays. I have Green Bay beating the Cowboys this week. I think there's going to be some hatred in Aaron Rodgers' blood about the fact that they stink. So I got to win in that. And then I meant to write this out beforehand, but I'm probably terrible at doing a lot of stuff. Let's look at some college football here. Who do we got? Man, it's tough. There's just not a lot of games that you want to take teams in, but I think crazy pick. I think Alabama is going to have 3 losses this year in college football. I think they're going to lose this week. Coming off a loss last week, they play Ole Miss week right after. Do they fall out of top 20, top 25? Probably not. But you never know what could happen. And then I'm going to close it out with some college basketball. I got to go look though. Since we're not going to be here for it, and it's technically going to be like me pushing into the future once again.
Take the women's game tonight, man. I was tempted to. I don't feel like taking it. Maryland can beat South Carolina. It's definitely a long shot. It's definitely a hot take for sure. South Carolina is actually only favored by 7 tonight, surprisingly. It's because it's at Maryland. Maryland does have home court. I think that comes into play tonight, and we have a very close game.
You know what? We're going to go with it. I got Kentucky 20-balling Michigan State in the Champions Classic. I am hopefully going to be in person, so there will be in-person updates. But yes, this is going to be amazing. Kentucky 20 balls, Michigan State. The Cats are rolling. Vibes are high. We're going to have a good week. We're so excited to see all these picks pan out. Once again, we're so glad to have you on. Another great week, Dallas, and let's look forward to some sports this weekend.